What's going on, everyone? Today I'm joined by the CMO of Simmons, Melanie Huet, and today we're going to be diving into several discussions regarding Gen Z, millennial, new brands, even I think TikTok as well. So this should be an interesting podcast episode. I'm hoping you get great value out of this one. So I guess before we jump into things and the nuances of the marketing realm, could you give us kind of a background of the brand and just kind of a quick touch base on that?
Sure, Jake. Thanks for having me on today. And so I work at Simmons Brand, and we have 4 mattress brands that you might know of. So we have Simmons, Trndsttrs, and Tough to Needle. So we merged with the startup last year, and essentially we're busy trying to help people sleep better.
Yeah. Well, and that's an important cause. I could talk about the benefits of sleep and other things for those that kind of know my nerding out on the biological side of things. But for now, I think, we know the importance of sleep, and it's interesting, where mattress brands play into that. And there's obviously been some recent headlines in the past few years, from some other players in this space, such as Purple, such as Casper, some others. I'm very curious to hear that combined with, all these new digital mediums and platforms and channels. There seems to be some new app with millions of users on it out every 6 months. How do you as a CMO continually stay on top of that to keep, the existing marketing and branding moving, but also look ahead to the horizon a little bit?
Yeah, it's tough in today's environment to continue to stay on top of all the trends. So I watch a lot of media every day, and I read a lot. So some of my favorite newsletters are about Gen Z and millennials, and so I scour the news for business headlines as well as what's our audience doing.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, we do a lot of consumer research. So we're constantly talking to our consumers about what do you need. And I also live with 2 Gen Zs. I have 2 daughters that are 9 and 12, and they help keep me on top of what's going on with younger people.
Of course, that's awesome. That's the best consumer insights you can ever get, right? Direct from the source. Awesome. Yeah. And regarding Gen Z and millennial specifically, I know there was a recent, brand launch that is geared towards that demographic. Could you provide a little bit of insight into, what that is, and then also, I think more importantly, how that came to fruition and how you as a brand kind of thought about that new product development and ultimately launch?
Yeah, so I got to Simmons about a year ago. And when I got there, we really needed to do a lot with our brands because our brands were pretty old and dusty and trusted, but not very exciting. And so we knew there was a big opportunity to change all of that. And when I was looking at the brand portfolio, there was a really big gap. And that gap was we didn't have any brands speaking to young people who are coming into the marketplace, who have spending power, and we didn't have a way to talk to them or attract them.
Yeah.
Without being specifically the older Gen Z and the younger millennials. And so when we took that a little bit further, we're like, okay, here's the opportunity. How do we make this opportunity come to life? So in I march into this boardroom of 50-year-old men, and I basically tell them, I'm going to take the 150-year-old Simmons brand and rebrand it for young people, and we're going to be the first Gen Z hassle-free crash pad.
Yeah.
So I have to explain what crash pad was.
Yes.
You can imagine the conversation.
Yes.
And so I left there with their buy-in. And what we have done is we've created the first branded mattress specifically speaking to this audience. So Simmons is available at Costco. It's really fun. It taps into the insight that, when you're younger, you don't have enough time for sleep. You're busy doing things, and really you just want a simple transaction. Like, give me something comfortable to sleep on.
Yeah.
And so our goal is it's a great value, it's a great product, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Along the way.
That's incredible. And I love that story, how you queued it up of walking into the boardroom, 50-year-old men. Hey guys, this brand that's been around for 150 years? Yeah, we're going to do this instead. It's just like, I think there's such a level of courage that is required in modern day, well, I wouldn't say modern day marketing, but there's such a level of courage that is required in marketing. It's something we always tell our listeners is that you got to be sometimes courageous. You got to be out of the box. It does have to make sense with data. So for those that don't know, she likely didn't, walk into the boardroom with an idea she had that morning. There was probably some research there, some actual insights, development and such. So you got to back it up, but great ideas are the foundation of a lot of things. And so now that brand is out there, and we kind of have a rollout plan, what are your thoughts in terms of reaching those demographics? What are some channels or campaigns that you might see on the horizon?
Great question. So again, with all the reading I do, there's been a few clear trends, and one of those trends is that TikTok is becoming one of the hottest platforms. And then also thinking about who it is we want to reach, that first audience. Mm-hmm. And then on top of it, the Simmons brand positioning is really that the mattress is your stage for life. So we are doing fun things in our advertising, like having people dance on the mattress, or thinking about how you use the mattress as a stage to the games, or really it's just all about being silly. So with that, it led us to a natural conclusion with our media agency and our ad agency that we're going to launch on TikTok.
Yeah.
And we might be the first brand ever to fully launch just on TikTok.
Oh, it's just on TikTok?
Yes.
That's got to be the first.
I think so.
I study a lot of TikTok, a lot of brands. I don't know any that are just on. This is incredible. So it's exclusive to the platform in terms of the content that's going to be pushed there.
Yes.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we love TikTok, and so
yeah.
I love everything about the platform. I like that it's fun. I like that the videos are short and engaging, and that consumers can make their own content, and you never know which ones exactly is going to peak. And I think it fits the brand really well. And so that's planning to launch in June. We wanted to get a little bit more product out into the distribution. Mm-hmm. And then also we have a website, Jake, that we're getting up and running. So we wanted to have that up as well, so consumers could look around and find us. Yeah,
certainly that makes sense. Driving it back too, some conversions there. So yeah, that's wildly interesting, and I think that's a serious step. And so I can applaud your courage. And our head of social media, she's kind of like in the TikTok influencer crowd, so she would definitely be stoked. Now on a less,
Maybe
I see
she wants to dance on a mattress for us.
Hey, I think she'd be up for it. I think she just hit 2 million, so she's right there. So but anyhow, so we have TikTok. That's what I would say. TikTok's really been what I would say is kind of a beacon for hope right now regarding Gen Z and millennials, just because with quarantining and social distancing, the content on the app has exploded. There's always new challenges, new trends, and it's a positive movement, and so that's great with TikTok. But what is the cause of that is something not so good, and so a lot of brands right now are in an interesting point where we want to continue growing and we want to continue doing the things that we had initially planned, right? But a lot of the world is kind of slowed down and halted. What has your brand done thus far in response to COVID-19? And how do you what has that approach been? Because I'm sure there's playbooks for what happens when something goes wrong. How do we do that? But for something of this magnitude, there's really no specific game plan that prepares for a pandemic level.
Yeah, there's not, and I've led through some pretty tough business situations in the past. So I was the leader on the Slim Fast product recall several years ago in my career. So I've had some experience in crisis marketing, but this is completely different because it didn't emerge all at once, and it's been a slow build, and it's been really impactful. And so a couple of things I did is, the first thing is we got together as a team and figured out our pivot for COVID plan, which looks like how do you behave in this new environment where retail's basically shut down and people are at home. So we made some clear pivots to selling in viable channels, trying to open new channels, and then preparing to win big when we come back to normal.
Yes.
And when I think about the opening new channel area, that's really brainstorming on how do we help during this time, this really, really tough time. What's our role as a company? And because we're a sleep company, we decided that our role was pretty clear, which is we should donate beds. And so sleep's important for your health, and when you're sick and you need to recover, sleep's really, really critical. So CRTA actually made a donation of 10,000 beds out to the New York City area, because that was the area in the most need. And now, Jake, we're actually in the process of making donations in the LA and San Diego area. And then as other cities have places of need, or they start to emerge more on the radar, we'll try to help out there as well.
Yeah. That's incredible work. And I always love seeing the private sector in particular, jump in and help in times of crisis and of need. And something you mentioned that was interesting was, what is the role we play, in the lives of the average consumer, and specifically being sleep. I'm curious to hear how you go about, telling that story. And there's a lot of different ways to do so, but, how do you distinguish, what is our role, not outside of, COVID-19, for the day-to-day consumer and the day-to-day marketing? How do you distinguish, what that role in the consumer journey should be? Because they are going to spend, 6 to 10 hours, on a mattress every single day, right? Or at least they should be. And so technically it takes up a large percentage of people's livelihoods, but it's probably something, obviously forgotten. And sleep is something that we consistently take for granted. The modern consumer, particularly these younger generations, are prioritizing health. So perhaps they take greater awareness towards sleep. But I'm curious to hear how you go about determining, what is the role we truly play in our end consumers' day-to-day life?
Well, better sleep will lead to, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Emergency
Coffee on the way, there you go. Is that one of the interns?
One of my years, my 9-year-old, okay?
Got it.
I'll answer the question in 1 second here. I'm sorry, it's getting a little loud. Are you hearing that noise?
No.
Okay.
I assume they're just making TikToks, so it's fine. It's good background noise.
Okay. Jake, it's a great question about how we're impacting consumers' lives. So the mattress is not something that's top of mind for anybody. And basically you can ask somebody what they sleep on, and most people will give you a dumb look like, why are you asking me that question? And no, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which is okay. It means that if you're sleeping well, you're happy. And so mostly what happens in the mattress category is until there's a problem, nobody really goes shopping. And that problem could be, I had a baby, so I place for my child, or now I don't feel so good in my mattress, I'm waking up, or you've moved locations, lots of things prompt a purchase. But the role of sleep is critical. So the more we study it and the more we learn about it, it's all about your physical and cognitive development. And the best thing you can do for yourself is get good sleep. And also, if you're really into working out and trying to be healthy, if you want to put on muscle and meet your fitness goals, sleep is actually really, really important for delivering that. Yeah, certainly. It's probably the most taken for granted, what would you call it? Just medium channel, something you can do to stay healthy. It's like, we're going to do everything but sleep 7 hours every night. I can't do that. But yeah, I can take all the supplements in the world, work out for 3 hours a day and do this, that, and the other. And so, it's wild that we sometimes forget that. And now, not only in the fitness side, but also spilling over to what I would call kind of the business professional community, the nootropic entrepreneurship, like how do I, maximize productivity and efficiency. So it is interesting, how you play in that, but then also how you remain top of mind. And something I'm curious to hear, being that likely not everyone knows, what is the mattress I even have, what is the mattress I purchase, is how you essentially build brand loyalty in that arena. And obviously some of the initiatives you mentioned earlier, I think are incredible ways to do so, just tailoring, a specific brand and product line specific to that demographic. But, in terms of building brand loyalty, it was something that might not be coffee, for instance, like Starbucks, where I'm consuming it, I can taste the difference. A mattress might be subjective. Like, am I really an expert on how I feel, when in a mattress? Likely not. So I'm curious to hear your approach to building brand loyalty. Is that something you're actively thinking about? And if so,
What are some strategies or tactics you've used in the past or currently that have done a decent job in achieving that?
Absolutely. The whole reason I have a job is
Yeah.
to build brand loyalty at Simmons. There was not a CMO, a full-time CMO in place before I joined.
Wow.
And so my remit walking in the door was, we have to build brands. And the reason that changed was the advent of Casper and Purple and all the D2C guys coming online. Now all of a sudden mattresses are a branded category. And by the way, the competition's more than it was before. And so the great thing is Trndsttrs has a great brand presence. It's actually the #1 brand amongst millennials, the most recognized, and everybody loves the Trndsttrs sheep. And we weren't using our Trndsttrs sheep enough. And it was one of those aha moments of, everybody loves this sheep. Why aren't we using sheep all the time?
Yeah.
And so since I've been on board, we've really increased the presence of the sheep in social media. Even with our donation, if you go to Trndsttrs on Twitter or on Instagram, you'll see the little sheep holding up a relief bed sign, asking people to donate their own bed on reliefbed.com.
Yeah.
And we've really seen that the sheep has helped us move forward and create a culturally relevant tie with our consumers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's happening on Trndsttrs. And then we talked a little bit about Simmons, and absolutely we're establishing brand awareness and brand presence there. And so we've really overhauled the model. We used to advertise more to retailers, and we're really shifting to it's all about the consumer. Get to know your consumer.
Yes.
And then be present in the channels that matter to them.
Yeah, that's incredible. And something within that that you mentioned, they didn't have a full-time CMO before. Similarly, you mentioned earlier, walking into a boardroom, 50-year-old male executives, that's, the only demographic in there. And you got to walk in and pitch this concept to a 150-plus-year-old brand. So something I'm curious to hear from you is, how have you gone about what I would call kind of carving your position and carving your job in terms of like what your responsibility and executions are? Something I always find interesting, particularly with the younger demographic, is they might be, starting in their marketing internship, or they might be graduating and now they're a social media manager at a company, or they just do this. And for a lot of those, small to mid-sized businesses and even some larger ones, their job might just entail some of the same old that you would see, but that individual might, see some things that the company isn't seeing. But how do they determine, is that my responsibility? I'm not supposed to do that, but I know it would be beneficial. So I'm very curious to hear from you if you can shed any insight or just your approach to really carving out your role and responsibility. Because if I had to guess, there likely wasn't, hey, we need a CMO that's going to launch a new Gen Z millennial focused brand and then launch a TikTok influencer campaign. And that probably wasn't in the job title, right?
No, it wasn't. And
Yeah.
actually, I'm still trying to explain to the sales force what TikTok is.
Exactly.
But it's fun. I love my job.
Yeah.
And what I like about my job, and to answer your question about how do you drive change, which was a big part of your question, is
Yeah.
you have to have a vision. And so when I step into an assignment, I assess where we are, and then I establish a vision for where we want to go. And then the way that you truly transform a brand or a company or the assignment you're on is you need to sign up other key stakeholders to subscribe to your vision. So
Yeah.
I do a lot of collaborating and communicating, and I find key partners. And once you have a couple of key partners, it only takes a couple of you in an organization, and you can drive tremendous change. And what's been particularly fun about this assignment I'm on is that it has been highly disruptive.
Yeah.
So to overhaul a 150-year-old brand and make it a Gen Z brand and talk about TikTok is completely the opposite of what was being done at this company before that.
Yeah.
And we've added a lot of color to the product. So if you walk into a mattress store, you're going to see pretty much all white and maybe a little bit of off-white and some grays.
Yeah.
But there's no color. And I saw that as a big opportunity too. Where's the color? Where's the design? Where are the fashion trends? We're just completely missing all the big opportunities to appeal to a younger audience.
Yeah. That's incredible. And I think a key note there was that you need buy-in from others. You need collaboration. And so for a lot of the younger demographics listening right now, and I can obviously attest to this, is there's this notion that you need to, that the older generations are just your manager and they don't listen to you, but really you need to get that ultimate buy-in, or else you're not going to be able to move in that particular direction. And it doesn't have to be your direct report, but it could be someone else in the firm, but it's likely not going to be something that you can do entirely alone. Someone just with a crazy vision that's operating alone, they might just think you're insane, but if you get buy-in from some other people, now it's a little bit more reasonable. It's still got to be out there, right? Because it's marketing, of course, but yeah. Well, this has been, incredible in terms of capturing insights, knowledge around, specifically, how you take an older brand, innovate those processes. Obviously, very curious to see how this TikTok campaign rolls out. Is there anything that you see in the next few years, whether that's within AI, within, I think, virtual reality, augmented reality as well, that is going to be a new disruptive technology to your industry that you're working on, at least researching to see how you might position for it?
We are looking at VR and AR and all of those, but probably what's going to be the most disruptive for us is the IoT.
Yeah.
So when you think about the Internet of Things and the bedroom, everything wants to be connected in the household now. So you can really picture the bedroom of the future. You lay down and your lights go down and you create this environment that's very personalized for you.
Yeah.
That's where we've been spending the most of our development time. Yeah,
that's incredible. And for those that are a little bit less familiar with the IoT and the potential capabilities of that, could you literally imagine a mattress, like it's all your devices connected and your things being devices. So now could you imagine your mattress being able to sense when you wake up, so that thus the coffee pot already turns on, the stove turns on, you get ready to cook some eggs. Like there's just unlimited capabilities. So it's going to be incredible to see the new disruption of those technologies and how those play out. Obviously, I think we're still a little bit away from that. It's going to take some time, but yeah, it's good being able to know what you're looking at from a CMO perspective.
Yeah. Jake, I'd love to highlight one thing you mentioned. So you talked about young people having ideas. I love ideas, I love energy, I love passion, and for anyone that has an idea that maybe is at a lower level in their organization, all you have to do is find one key power broker above you that likes your idea, and that can happen. So I would encourage everybody to find people who are open to ideas, and I'm a Gen Xer myself, so there's hope that the Xers and Boomers want ideas. We do.
Yeah, and obviously we wouldn't be in business if they weren't open to those ideas. But guys, this isn't me just saying this. This is actual CMOs of very large established brands. So don't just take it from me. This is happening at all levels, small startup to obviously some of our most iconic brands. And so I can't thank you enough for that insight and advice. And I want to personally thank you for taking the time to join us. We might have to catch up in like 90 days again and see how the TikTok influencer campaign rolled out. And hopefully the world is in likely a better place by then, but we'll obviously have to see. So I appreciate you for coming on. Do you have any closing remarks or ideas of your own?
Jake, thanks. Ideas of my own. So I think I might be stumbling on this part. So
no worries. We can
start over.
Got it.
Jake, thanks for having me on. I had a great time, and I do hope we can connect again in 90 days. That'd be fun.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Go like this on socials. Comment any questions you have for future CMOs and marketing executives in the future. And go send a connection request on LinkedIn. Thanks.